Ultra Mega Magpie 842 here, coming at you guys with a 1v1 live game. What's up? How's it going? The sun is shining and I am coasting. Today we're going to be watching a game on Kholodny Ferma featuring spawning in the west. It's the United Kingdom forces of Chendru. And spawning in the east, it's going to be the Wehrmacht forces of vasa1719. I don't know if that's a particularly significant date or what the deal is there for him. Chendru here going to be picking a commander straight away. He's going with the Commando Regiment. Possibly, and this might be a controversial opinion, but I think that the Vanguard commander is the best of the two British commanders who get commandos. But this guy does have the air supremacy operation, which is utterly brutal. We'll see if that's going to be a thing. Seems like we've got a scuffle right away here at the 1 minute 15 marks. Shots being fired around about 110, maybe a little earlier. Some Tommies here going to get up into the church here. That's going to provide them with the heavy cover they need to boost their rate of fire. And again, finding another good position here. Probably going to force these storm pioneers, sorry, these regular pioneers. I wouldn't take this fight if I were these guys. Standing around here just seems like giving away free damage. Yeah, I mean, he's trading for nothing here. Yeah, the regular pioneers going to complete the cap and then I imagine fall back. Yep, and that they will. Now this point, of course, is super crucial, and the reason why Chendru is making such a push for it is, if I crack the tactical map, you can see this point here is actually the cutoff point, so by taking that point, he'll deny resources, for example, from these 2 points, which is turbo annoying for the Axis forces. Now here comes a brand universal carrier, that's going to move on up. I'd like to see it just push forward, just start dackering these guys down. That's a thing it can do. Moving out into the top of the map with his second squad of Tommies, they're going to be securing the fuel point, another point, munitions point, and also he's already grabbed 1 victory point. So Chendru looking good in the early stages of this game, securing a 20-point victory point lead just now. We're only 2 minutes in, really. So that's pretty cool. The Universal Carrier hasn't really done much so far. I'd like to see that be used a little more. And festivities gotten underway at such a speed here, I was unable to have my customary pan around the map. But if you don't know Kholodny Ferma by now, you never will. So we can brush that one aside. We can not do that one today. What do we got here? We've got 2 squads of riflemen. Now, the Bren carrier is going to be found. It's going to get some shots off and start backing up. Now, this thing actually does reasonable damage against infantry squads. So we'll keep an eye on that and see. You can watch down in the bottom right. You can watch the damage and veterancy come onto that unit. Now these Tommies trading for damage. I'm not sure I like staying here because he's now fighting against 3 squads. And when I play as the Brits, I'm always hyper cautious with my Tommies at this stage in the game because you really don't have to keep them alive very long. Pardon me, before you can get the medical kit onto them, especially with the changes to teching in the September the 17th patch. So you can get the med kit on them, and you can trade for good damage, get them down to about half health, but still with 4 guys, and then run away, use your med kits, and come back in. Now I appreciate in this circumstances Chendru not going for this build. The reason we can tell that, of course, he's got the universal carrier, so he's 15 fuel later on those med kits. So I absolutely appreciate why he wants to stand and trade for a little more damage with his Tommies. However, I think against a concave of 3 Grenadier squads, that's just always something you want to walk away from. So anyway, these Grenadiers going to go deep, try and get a Hansa Faust onto the universal carrier, but Chendru on top of the micro, just going to keep kiting with this little unit here. He could come forward again. I'd like to see him just come forward, especially with the Tommies that he can now stand behind. Tommies securing the north of the map, and here we have a Vickers getting into a great position here in this building. The Grenadiers are in green cover, so the suppression going to take a while. In fact, the Vickers is going to lose a man. That's unlucky. Yeah, getting some good Dakar laid down onto these Grenadiers. They're going to be suppressed before too much longer, one has to feel. Tommy's going to come in. I imagine we might see them use this building to put more pressure on. And we've got a mortar team coming out after the customary I'm playing as Wehrmacht, so I have to get 4 squads of Grenadiers build, which everybody and their dog does these days. So here's the here's the mortar squad just making its way onto the field. That's going to be an appropriate counter for the Vickers. So that's going to enable Vasa to take a little bit more, have a little bit more presence in the middle of the map. Get that Vickers out that church. These Grenadiers, they actually traded for good damage against these Tommies, but they're probably going to have to get out of there, and there they go. I'd love to see this carrier be used slightly more aggressively, but it could be that he's going to wait till he has 90 munitions to really unleash it. And you know what? If he does go for the Wasp flame projector, that seems like a really effective counter for the mortar squad, who's going to start getting some rounds off. Now, are they targeting the Tommies or are they targeting the Vickers? Got to think it's the Tommies, on account of the fact that line of sight to the Vickers is pretty much non-existent right now. He would only have known that the Tommies were here, I would have thought, by the line of sight from this point being kept. And see Chendru being so diligent about maintaining control over this point to deny. I mean, look at how much that's denying. Right now, by taking this point, he's denying a munitions point, he's denying a fuel point, he's denying 3 other points. Whoa. I mean, that's just savage. Three other points that, I mean, just Fantastic work. This is the cut-off of ages, and this is one of my issues with this map, because look at the left-hand side of the map. Where's the corresponding cut-off? Oh, there isn't one. So, yeah, you definitely have a much harder time playing this map when you spawn in the east. Now, I mean, it's not always backbreaking, but it's very difficult, and I would love to see the win rates on this map. Wow, the Wasp's going to come out and get some good damage onto this mortar squad. They need to start running, and they are, before they can start doing the Bernie dance. They're not going to get out with no men lost. But that's almost a bad thing, because it means the health on that unit is going to be low. Although, having said that, no, I take it back. There is a medical bunker established already, so Vasa well ahead of me on that one. He's going to actually heal that up. Royal Engineers, the boys from Wales, coming out, going to start capturing some more land. And I have to say, for a faction that generally struggles in the early game, Chendru here is leading with a fantastic 1-2 punch of infantry and the Wasp carrier. And that is on, well, the Wasp Universal carrier, and that is having a very strong effect. These Tommies getting overrun. He needs to pull them back. I don't like trading here at all. Wow, I really don't like trading this far down. That is a Tommy in jeopardy. He would be unlucky to be picked off, but it wouldn't be impossible there, especially moving across negative cover now. 6-pounder coming out prophylactically here, probably in anticipation of a potential half-track and/or scout car from the Axis forces. The Wasp going to keep kiting back, nearly up to 1-star veterancy. 1-star veterancy, of course, makes using the Universal Carrier so much easier, because you can just spend 15 fuel and repair that thing very quickly, without even having to bother using your Royal Engineers or taking them off the line to come and repair it. So that's really nice. Not sure I like pursuing the Universal Carrier here with the Grenadiers, and I'm also not sure from Chendru that I like falling the Universal Carrier back this far. I think you can keep kiting and keep burning these guys. He's still falling it back. I'm not sure about that. Axis forces resurgent in the north of the map. Grenadiers going to be capping the munitions point. Another squad going to be capping the far north point. Let's take a look at the teching here for the Wehrmacht player. So we've got Battle Phase 1, that has been completed. LMG 42 is now a thing that can be upgraded. No leichter mechanized company structure yet. So no danger of Storm Pioneer, Panzer Grenadiers, no danger of a scout car or anything like that just yet. Now the mortar coming out, it seems to be in a good position. Going to get some mortars into this building, and that's going to deal damage. There's a couple of squads in here. Oh, no, sorry, I take that back. It seems that he was actually firing the mortars at these Royal Engineers. Only one man on that squad. I would fall that back pronto, but he's going to keep it on the field just for now. Possibly Chendru hasn't noticed that it's down to one man. The Wasp carrier is going to redeploy to the north, and I like this. He needs something to parry the forces up here, and the Wasp seems good. So he could just push it a little further forward. Come on, it's getting shot at. Come on, push it. Yep, that's it. There we go. Attaboy. Hey, so now you kite. That's it. It's all about staying in that sweet spot of range where you're burning them, but they can't faust you. And anyway, I'm sure he knows that. Now, Mortar Squad here, going to be doing some more work. I believe the Royal Engineers... Okay, no, they have fallen back, so they're not going to be destroyed. Here they are now. Well, I say they. There's going to be one left. So anyway... Scuffle here, going to be developing some Grenadiers in cover. They're going to get burned out. These Tommies standing a little too close for comfort. Going to get barbecued a bit themselves. Vickers here, kind of pointing the wrong way. There could be a kill going on this squad. Oh no, Chendru very rapidly falling back. So that is a good play. Here comes a sniper, Zimeja, making his way out onto the field for the Wehrmacht player. Vasa, they're going to feel the benefit of that squad. And up at 44 supply over the 29 of his opponent. Chendru floating a large amount of manpower, which could become a concern if he wasn't being so efficient and proficient with his units, which, you know, is saving him right now. But that is a lot of manpower to be floating. There we go. He's just spent a little more. Not quite sure that was on yet. And actually, you know what? For a commander who gives you no benefits until the 4 command point level, I think it was very premature to pick the commando regiment. I mean, sometimes you just wake up and you say to yourself, right, in this game, I know what I want to play. I don't care what happens. I'm playing this commander. And that's fair enough. But it'll always be a stronger position to wait until you need the benefits of a particular commander and then choose that commander and use the benefits straight away, because it enables you to respond to the pick of your opponent in terms of their commander. It enables you to respond to the style and unit choices of your opponent. It enables you to respond to specific circumstances as they unfold. It's just, it will behoove you to not choose a commander until you actually are about to use one of the abilities provided by one of those commanders. Now, for some commanders, that still means picking them at minute 0, because that's things like Assault Grenadiers, Elite Riflemen, stuff like that. But again, you're still picking the commander just before you're about to use one of its abilities. So, my point stands, boys. Don't be picking your commanders so quick. Seems like the Zimeja going to get involved, picking off some Tommies here. Pow! There he goes. Gets his first, I believe, first headshot of the game. No, second headshot. Oh, take it back. Wow, he's getting very busy. Vickers in a decent position. Now the 1-star veterancy is up on that Vickers, which gives it a commanding range. I mean, properly commanding range. Plus 25% range at veterancy 1 on that. Now we've got a scuffle in mid with this machine gun. We've got Zamajor and associated forces skirmishing through the north of the map. And we've got some cheeky pioneers poking to the south. All of which means, in the middle of this combat, well, okay, now they fall back. I'm gonna crack the tack and show you. Look at the extent to which the Axis forces have been able to dominate this map. And that is in stark contrast to the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game, where Chendru was able to have a choke on this point here, which wisely he's built a fuel cache has come down on that point for Vasa, having the very healthy fuel income now, plus 32 over the measly plus 13 of the British forces right now. So Vasa, clearly unflustered by the way the early game went, and moving into the early mid-game now with vigour and gusto, responding appropriately to the tactics of his opponent, countering the MG with a mortar, bringing out the sniper to tax the manpower-intensive British forces. The only unit that really feels unanswered right now is the Wasp. And if I'm honest, I don't think Chendru's quite been active enough with that unit. Yeah, I know you have to be very careful. A Panzerfaust can come out of Grenadiers and that ruins your day. But I still think that he was reversing it just a little too far when he could have been kiting for more damage and also pushing forward for more damage a lot of times. Now, you know, the more active you are with the Wasp, the more likely it is that you're going to lose focus for a second and it's going to die. It's that kind of unit, you know, you look away for a split second and it's all over. But I just think he could have been more active with that unit. However, it's still on the field. It's now 2-star vet. It has 6 kills. He's certainly not done badly by any stretch of the imagination. So a minor criticism at best there for Chendru from mine. Seems like the Vickers gun going to be used to capture points down the south end of the map. Not quite sure I like that choice. Wow, now he's pushing with the Wasp. That's much better. Going to be able to displace 2 squads of Grenadiers, a sniper, and a mortar squad. If you do the maths quickly, that's like 600, 720, well, that's 1,080 manpower displaced by a single Wasp carrier there, which is now, it only just got promoted to 2-star. It's now 3-star, so let's take a look here. It gets increased weapon burst length and accuracy, and it also gets better able to operate their vehicle. So it increases acceleration, it increases speed, it increases rotation speed, and the crew repair is improved. Now here we have the command glider coming in. Check out the mini-map here. You can see it's going to circle and come in. Now I would imagine he's going to aim to land that probably around here, possibly back here. And, oh yeah, so back here it is. Commando's going to pop out of this now. He's using the Commando Regiment commander, so that glider is not going to be a forward fallback point, it's not going to be able to manufacture medics, and it does not come with an air landing field officer. It does come with a unit of commandos, and it can, I believe, heal units? No, it can reinforce. Oh, it can't build commandos? Well, that seems strange. I thought it could build commandos. Alright, well, anyway. So, can't build commandos, apparently. Good blob of units here. God, it's lucky there's no mortar pit out for the Brits. And you know what? He's been floating a lot of manpower this whole game. I think constructing a mortar pit, either just behind this building, or if you're feeling super cheeky, behind the church, I know he can't do that now, but he could have done earlier, would have been really nice. Commando's going to come in, and they're roasting and toasting a little bit. Got to be careful there. They're getting a bit scorched by the Wasp there, losing about, you know, I'd say 30% of the health on that unit. Through Wasp-related friendly fire incidents, but nonetheless forcing the fallback out 2 Grenadiers through the combined anti-infantry power of the Wasp with the Commandos. And now here, a Vickers in a fantastic position, going to do a number on these guys. The Sniper likewise getting forced back. The Wasp in a great position. It's going to burn out these guys. And I think if you're Vasa at this point, you just have to say to yourself, I'm going to have to buy a freaking pack gun. I have to get... Oh my god, the Wasp is getting squad wipes on the retreat now. This Wasp is going unchecked and going too far. Maybe Chendru is a veteran user of Wasps who prefers not to risk them early on till they get veterancy 3 and then prefers to hoon home for massive damage. You know, I mean, maybe that's why he was a little timid with it earlier on, because right now that is looking like a great unit. Now, the fuel income for Vasa has been healthy this whole game. It's not so healthy now, but it's been healthy early on, and that is enabling him to be purchasing a Panzer IV right now. So that Panzer IV will look to be onto the field around about the 16-minute mark. It'll be firing its first rounds. So the Wasp at that point is going to be much more difficult to keep alive. by having no anti-vehicle except for Panzerfaust on his Grenadiers up until the 16-minute mark in the game, it is little wonder that that Wasp has been able to do the damage it has done. And if I crack the tack, you can see the story, which is which is that the British forces, despite a period of Axis dominance, have come back and are now somewhat resurgent. So anyway. A Centaur is going to be the fuel spending of choice for our British player Chendru, so that's going to be hitting the field round about just after the Panzer IV. You know what, I was totally off. This Panzer IV is going to enter the field a good 30 seconds earlier than I thought, although I did factor in a few seconds for it to get to the front. So I said about 16 minutes it will be firing its first rounds. Looks like I'm still off though, it's going to be firing its first rounds around about 15-14. So anyway. Here it is, gonna start doing a number on these Tommies. Tommies, of course, they don't have an anti-vehicle grenade, unless you have the doctrine for the boys AT rifle. Oh my goodness, 2 6-pounders though. A fearsome lineup. Oh, this Panzer IV stands to lose. You need to get it out. This is terrible. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, he gets it out. That was close. Those two, I think that was an attack ground order away from possibly losing the Panzer IV there. Wow, you don't want to just, as soon as the Panzer IV comes out, this is when it's the weakest it will ever be. Veterancy 0. And you don't want to just park it in front of 2 6-pounders. That's an expensive investment. And right now, pretty much your only lifeline. If you lose that Panzer IV, your opponent pushes with the Centaur or the Wasp into your base, and you die. So that's a really bad thing right now. Anyway, here comes the Centaur. That is probably going to get a squad wipe on these Grenadiers. Horribly powerful. The Wasp going to spray in some fire there as well. The forces of the Wehrmacht now fairly beleaguered. Look at the top right. Look at the top left. Ask yourself who's got the more potent army. And I don't think it's hard to answer. Chendru here pulling well ahead in terms of ground captured, in terms of the scoreline somehow. Oh no, I take that back. He's not leading in terms of the scoreline. But his unit composition and army size, both far healthier than that of his opponent. Now, amazingly, the Centaur is very able to penetrate the armour on a Panzer IV. It happens all the time. So you can actually kind of take this fight using the Centaur as a kind of low damage, high HP block, and using the 6-pounders behind that. The Wasp here in a decent position. Commandos cutting off the northern route, and Vasa finds himself utterly beleaguered. The only thing he has going for him is the fact that Chendru has not yet sent a squad to grab this southern victory point. And as soon as he does so, things are going to be looking super bleak for the Axis player. His Panzer IV Micro is just seemingly a little off. I think he should also buy the MG42 machine gun. Anyway, this mortar is doing work, and he could stand to get another one of those, actually. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that might be a really good choice for Vasa. Now, one thing in all the hubbub and chaos and United Kingdom domination, another sniper? Really? Wow, okay. That I haven't overviewed so far, is that Vasa has chosen this commander, and he has chosen the Assault Support Doctrine. Now, we saw somebody else using this guy for the first time on my channel the other day, and this is a reasonably potent commander, gives you a lot of interesting options. I won't overview them just now, but notably it's the only commander in the game who gets the Opel Blitz call-in. Pardon me. So that is a truck which can give you additional fuel. Don't think we're going to see that under the present circumstances in this game so far. He gets the strafing run from the Stuka. He gets the artillery field officer, which I've never ever seen used in a PvP since like after 6 months of the game's release. Just not very good, sadly, or at least underused. Maybe he's good. He's just so underused. I honestly can't tell you. Gets the frag bomb running, frag bombing run, and he also gets the Tiger tank, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, Centaur is pissed and it's coming back. The two 6-pounders are in a great position. This could be a dead Panzer IV if they fire again. Playing with fire, well, playing with 6-pounders, is this Panzer IV, and I can't say I like that at all. Here comes the Centaur. The 6-pounders are pushing up behind it, and he has to get this Panzer IV out of here now. He has to get it out right now, because otherwise the 6-pounders can aim this way and stop it from ever getting out. Oh no! Oh no! Look at the deployment on these 6-pounders. One faces this way, one faces this way. That Panzer IV is covered. And as soon as he actually identifies which way the Panzer IV goes, he turns them both on it. That's a dead Panzer IV. The Centaur now reigns unopposed. Just 5 infantry squads who are mostly broken and shattered. And I have to imagine if Chendru pushes the advantage here, if he just throws the Wasp, you could just put the Wasp here, put the Centaur here, that would be GG. Vasa has 600 manpower, he can buy a pack gun. He pretty much needs to buy a pack gun. I'm amazed he hasn't GG'd. I mean, Chendru being very sluggish to take these southern points, and actually there is still a fuel point connected for the Axis player. So Vasa, he really should be out of this. Chendru could kill him right now with the Centaur and the Wasp, but he's being reluctant to do so. And every second that ticks by, Vasa is kind of a little ember of hope is like igniting and just catching. It might, you know, he could buy a pack gun. He's going for a sniper. Why would you build a sniper when your opponent has a Centaur and a Wasp and you have no AT? That just... It seems to me like the only way you can win this game is by getting a pack gun and getting the right shots. That is the only line of play that sees you come back into this. I mean, what, are you going to hold on for a Panzer IV again in a minute or three's time? Well, I suppose you are if the British player is hesitant to go for the kill. What is he doing? Where are all his units? This is an awkward situation. Chendru ought to utterly have defeated this by now. He should have just pushed with the Centaur. This unit being idle is just bizarre. Utterly bizarre. The killer instinct from Chendru, he's done incredibly well so far, but his killer instinct is off. This is one of those go for the throat. You could have closed this game like 2 minutes ago now. But instead, we have a reinforced wave of Axis forces coming out. Now they're still utterly useless against the Wasp and the Centaur, so this is still basically impossible for Vasa. But he's not out the game yet, which he really should be, so things not as bad as they could be. He's going to salvage his own mortar back. And here we come. Now the Centaur comes in. Chendru should watch this replay and say to himself that he really let his opponent have more hope in this game than, and the sniper goes straight down. Really let his opponent have a bit more hope in this game than he had any right to. Light Gammon Bomb going to decimate that squad. Centaur's going to get another squad wipe on this poor engineer. Blah, 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 blah. There he goes. And a Stug is the choice. A Stug's actually not too bad. A Stug actually might protect him. Not if he just drives it into the Centaur. What are you doing, Mr. Stug? This is a bad rally. This is a turbo bad rally. The Centaur now kind of in the rear of the Stug. Oh my god, if he'd have just played the Stug back here, this could have had at least a vague glimmer of a hope of working. I mean, Vasa's situation here, if the Stug was played perfectly, was horrible. As it is, the Stug is going to be misrallied into uselessness. And so Vasa's situation is irretrievable. So I'm going to skip ahead to the post-game analysis. Oh no, there we go. We have the GG at last. Skip ahead to the post-game analysis. Chendru got off to a fantastic start, using his Tommies, using a Vickers in this church, using the Wasp to good effect. Vasa was able to push back though, using snipers and a mortar team, the appropriate counters, and a good fan of units to take back most of the field. Chendru, a little hesitant to spend his manpower, had a massive manpower float that whole game, which is very uncommon from the British forces. And I think that he would have, the Axis period of dominance, sort of in the early mid-game, could have been ablated to some extent if he'd have just had a couple more squads out. Maybe an SAS sniper to tax the Grenadiers that were taking north. Maybe a couple of extra Tommy squads. Whatever, you can take your pick. And then taking a fantastic mid game and pushing the Axis forces right back, making great use of attacking in this area with the Wasp, with the Centaur, causing grievous losses on his foe, mowing down the snipers, mowing down Grenadiers, and then that game was actually over a good 5 or 6 minutes before it was actually over. All the British player Chendru had to do was send his Centaur here with his Wasp here, and that would have just been GG. There would have been absolutely no recover. As it was, there was a good, 3 minutes where the Axis forces were just standing in their base, unable to do anything or leave the base, but gathering resources at a moderate rate because Chendru, as I say, was sluggish to grab these resource points to the south and he never grabbed this VP to the south. So Company of Heroes is one of those games where even though that game was basically over with Chendru, you never want to give your opponent even a chance of a look back into the game, because in Company of Heroes, sometimes those small chances come through. The variance in Company of Heroes is high, so you've got to just shut the door on your opponent very firmly when you can. And Chendru was slow to do so, and I hope that he learns from this game that in future he can really just force the issue and, literally push his opponent out of the game. A little earlier than perhaps he realised there. Alternative hypothesis, Chendru knew he was so far ahead he wanted to just play with his opponent a little further. So if that's the case, fair enough to him. Bit risky, but if that's your style, then, do what you're going to do. So yeah, that concludes this battle. Thank you very much for watching. This is Magpie842 signing out.